Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Lights Out with Ish and Eve. I'm Ish and this is Eve, and once again we are separated by time and distance.
Yeah.
I am very excited
I'm not.
about this episode. As you can obviously tell, I had a wonderful time watching the race in Monza. Evie, on the other hand,
I did not. Look,
did not slay.
Charles winning a Monza, I'm here for that as its own thing. There was
Its own thing.
too many other things. I couldn't enjoy it properly, okay? I couldn't. I just could
I
not.
could.
Of course you could. I'm
But McLaren
thoroughly
did not.
unimpressed. They said they got down on
Yes.
one knee and they presented it. They said, "Here you go, Ferrari. Here you go. Take it. If you want it, it's yours." And Charles said, "Thank you. I will. I will take it."
I mean, Charles definitely drove a great race,
Absolutely.
and we will talk about it and
Absolutely.
unpack
Yeah.
it. But McLaren,
Yeah.
once again,
It-
fumbled the bag.
It definitely wasn't like George Russell in Austria level of silver platter,
No,
but
but yes.
yes. Anyway,
So
we'll get there.
I guess before we get into it all, yeah, we'll get into it. It was a phenomenal, it was a really good race.
Yeah.
Like, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It was a great race. But let's start at the beginning.
Yes.
So I guess at the start of the weekend, well, it was sort of at the start of the weekend, but Kimi Antonelli was announced officially.
Yes.
Worst kept secret.
Literally.
on the
Oh,
podium.
I'm so shocked. So shocked. I had no idea. Good for him.
Yeah, and I think just prior to his announcement, man's got a lap and a half into FP1
Bro. Oh, I felt so
and put it
bad
in the
for
wall.
him.
I know.
felt so bad for him. He was absolutely fucking rapid, though, before he put it in the wall.
I know. So that's what Toto was saying. He was like, I'd rather my drivers have to
Yeah.
kind of calm them down
Rather than
Then-
tell them to go faster. Yeah. Which is so
Yeah,
valid.
Yeah, but man, that
And-
was
To be fair to him, as the session went on, a lot of people went off in that corner, just not into the wall.
totally.
and- oh.
Colapinto was this close.
Yeah, literally.
hitting
And
the wall
K-Mag
right
put
at
it in
the
the wall
end.
in the next corner.
FP2.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think it's just unfortunate, obviously. And obviously he just doesn't have the experience yet to be like, nah, I'm a bail out of this one. I'm not going to make the corner or whatever. And,
Yeah.
but even experienced drivers sometimes still don't do that. It's, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
And George, I was like, oh, I felt so bad for George. He was just there
I know. That's my car.
with poker
That's in
face.
the wall.
It cut to him and he was just impassive, but his jaw was twitching.
Mm.
I was like, valid. Because then they could
Oh.
have fixed it and he was still not running halfway through FP2.
Yeah.
And then
he
K-Mag
didn't get-
caused
he-
another fucking red flag and George had 2 laps on the Friday.
I
was
know,
ugh.
I know. So, on the topic of K-Mag, obviously, coming out of the weekend, the race ban was coming. There was
I forgot
only
about
so
it.
many times the FIA could, turn a blind eye and be like, we're really trying here to not give you
A
a
race
race
ban.
ban. And it was just okay, we can't keep doing this anymore.
We
So,
ignore
he's
your crimes.
sitting out.
But I forgot
Yeah.
about this. With all of the drama that's happened this season, I actually forgot about K-Mag's penalty points because it was a topic of conversation a few months ago when Max was winning
Yeah.
everything and he was ticking up the penalty points to 10 and we were I completely forgot that he was so close to getting a race
know.
ban. I had plenty of other things to think about and it kind of caught me by surprise and I don't know how that happened because obviously he was going to get it. But yeah, he sits out in Baku and I'm assuming Ollie will drive. I don't see anyone else
Yeah.
who would drive. He's already driven for
No, I
multiple
mean, it's great
times and-
experience for him. Yeah, it's great experience for him as a you know, coming into Haas next year, he basically just gets a free practice weekend.
Yeah, for real. And like obviously he's
So-
had the race in Ferrari, but to get a race in the team he's actually going to is really good for everyone, really. So thanks, K-Mag.
Totally.
I wonder if he'll still be there. Do you think K-Mag, will he be there? Or will he,
Surely.
like, surely he's there, yeah. I just can't race.
Yeah, I'm
Anyway,
sure he rocks up.
Something I did want to say about
Yeah.
Kimi and the Merc situation before we move on quickly. Obviously, it sucks
Yeah.
that he crashed, but, like, bro, I think it's so good that they announced his signing, like, very quickly after that happened, because people were calling for his head. People were like, oh, he sucks. It's like, did you see how quick he was? Did you see? Did you see the time that he put in?
And, like, you know, the whole he's the next Max Verstappen thing, like, Max early on in his career put it in the wall a bunch of times too, because he was
exactly.
just that fast and, like, had
Didn't
that
have the
much
experience.
like courage and guts to like
To do-
take corners really quickly and do that sort of stuff. And like, yeah, sometimes it's too much and it's like you've sent it too hard.
Exactly.
But, like-
And then you find those limits, and now look at him. So I think that it's good that they just announced him. They were like, yeah, let's get this out there before the noise gets too loud. But I think, yeah, it's going to be interesting because now Mercedes is a match-winning, I've been watching tennis, a race-winning car. The US Open's on and I'm over here, so I've been watching tennis.
True.
Match-winning, who am I? Race-winning car. It's so much more pressure. Like when Mercedes were down the order a little bit, like earlier this year, they were not in the position where they could win races. Now they are, and it's just a whole lot more pressure. Because Ollie, Jack Doohan, they can, you know, have some shit races, bin it in the wall a few times.
Yeah, they're not going into like the top teams.
Yeah, and obviously you want a seat at a top team, but it just comes with so much extra pressure, and I think
Totally.
I think it'll be.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on because we've got shit to talk about.
We got a lot to cover.
Yeah. First of all, Williams were looking good in practice. Franco Colapinto finished FP3 as P9.
Yeah, so
Behind
I
Alex
was like,
P8.
oh, Williams. Yeah, I was like, oh, Williams have like, you know, no longer have their only fast in a straight line car now. So like, they don't have that. So surely like they won't be as great in Monza as like they were last year. Nah. Alex Albon especially, phenomenal weekend.
Yeah, really good.
Like, and Colapinto for his first
Really
F1
solid.
weekend. Amazing.
Yeah, like the only reason he didn't make it into Q2 was because he had that one mistake on the last run. Like otherwise I think he would have been through.
I think he would have been through too.
Yeah.
And he drove a great race. We'll get there, but like he had a great weekend.
He really did. So slay to him.
Should we talk about quali?
Yeah, let's move in.
Okay. So there's a lot of talk and like coming into quali of like getting the toe and finding like the right place to slot in to like do your lap. And I think it ended up being a lot more about just like who has the clean air and who had the grip to like avoid going in the gravel.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, obviously we've talked about Colapinto going off in Q1, which really sucks. But I think the usual suspects all kind of got eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, there was a scrappy old end because K-Mag went off, caused a yellow flag when so many people were coming through on their last run. And I think a couple of people, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I know Lance Stroll was really pissed about it. Like, he was on a lap. I think Yuki might have been on a lap. And, like, a bunch of people got bumped because they couldn't finish their final lap. But 'tis the game.
It is.
But, like, no one that... It was still kind of the usual suspects.
Yeah. And even Q2 as well, like... Fernando was like maybe the biggest surprise there, but even that
still
is like
11th, I feel like
phenomenal.
Is,
so
yeah, I feel like
it's pretty standard.
Danny Rick kind of slayed.
He did.
Yeah, where did he qualify? Like
He
P12
did.
or something? No.
Like P13.
Yeah, slay. Good
Yeah.
effort. But he snuck through. He was P15 in Q1, and I was like, ooh.
Yes. I know, he like just pipped Yuki right at the end and knocked him out.
Yeah, I was like, with all of that mess at the Red Bull family, that's great.
I know. And then Slay to Nico and Alex going through to Q3 though.
I
I mean, obviously,
know.
clearly the Williams was so good, but Nico as well.
Yeah, he's such a good
Um,
qualifier, or has been this year.
yeah,
Like, he's just started putting in great Saturdays, and it's been working for him.
I know.
Yeah.
And then he falls back 6 places in the first lap. But
Happens to the best of
anyway,
us. Happens to the best of us.
he wasn't alone. Um, but then Q3 was kind of crazy, quite frankly,
Yeah.
with how the result ended up.
Yes. It was wild. I mean,
Yeah.
very close. Very close.
Yeah.
It was...
You can definitely see how, like, all the drivers are so close because it was literally just, like, pigeon pairs for most of it. McLaren, Mercedes,
Yeah.
Ferrari.
Red Bull.
And then Red Bull.
Red Bull had a terrible qualifying. Especially because they
Yeah.
tried to set it up so that Perez would give Max a tow, and then he went off the track and blew a ton of gravel into his face.
I know! Like, Perez once again screwing over Max Verstappen.
No. I saw a meme that was like someone like being like praying for Perez to be right to qualify right behind Max because it hasn't happened in ages, and then it was like P7 and P8 like that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
But yeah, it literally was just
That's
like
so funny.
bang, 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 like two, like the whole
Yeah.
way through. Obviously,
George Russell ruined it, but
yeah, I know. I like George though, so he slid.
he did.
Who, like, yeah, what else happened? I'm just scrolling.
I mean, like, Ferrari were looking good. Obviously, like, McLaren were just on a whole other level, and that was, like, to be expected.
Yeah.
But Ferrari were pretty much, I mean, George obviously got his good lap in, but Ferrari were pretty much the second fastest car.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, obviously they had bought their major upgrades.
Yeah.
Post summer break
Ferrari
upgrades.
threw the kitchen sink at Monza.
Yeah.
They had like 9 upgrades or something
They did.
this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, most teams brought it last week as like the first race back after the summer break, but I feel like it makes sense for Ferrari. They were like testing a few last week and then they brought their major package at home, which obviously a lot of teams bring their major upgrades when they're at their home race because it's easier.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and they want to win more because it's their home race.
Yeah. So they really slayed with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 1-2 for McLaren. I was like, not only that, obviously Lando 2 poles in a row, big slay, but the 1-2 is great. But the main thing that was important, saying all of this now is really upsetting, but was the fact that Max qualified so low.
Yes.
The door
was
wide open.
Oh, I know. When Max only, like, because Max was in P8 and Perez was P7, and then Max crossed the line and just moved up to P7, I was like, championship back on.
Yeah.
Immediately, I was like, championship back on.
Yeah. I was like, you've got the opportunity.
What bigger opportunity do you want?
20-point headway. Anyway, so I was going after qualifying. I was stoked. I was excited. I was having a good time. The 1-2, and I was like, great, the 1-2. Surely, team orders come into play this time around.
Totally. So coming into the race, I was like, all right, if Lando gets a bad start and Oscar overtakes him, at some point during the race, surely McLaren have got to swap it back.
Especially after everything that happened in Hungary. Like, surely. But
yeah,
and I was like, because this is the thing and then before the race, Zach Brown's like, yeah, well, like, this is the good thing about having 2 number 1 drivers is we don't have to get involved. I'm like, yeah, that's a great policy if both of your drivers are in with winning the world championship, but they're not,
or neither of your drivers are in.
Yeah,
I'm like, the championship.
But when you have one driver in with a shot. Like,
so,
come on.
question.
Yes.
What the fuck is Papaya Rules?
I would love to know. But I don't think
because, like...
Does that mean...
I'm sorry.
Like, who do you think? Like, that's
What?
cringe, first of all. Papaya Rules.
Oh my God, it was so cringe. I was like, literally, why? Why
got
is
the
it called
ick.
that? Stop.
I got the ick.
Such an ick.
But I think it was either... I don't think it was swap the places back. The commentary was saying maybe that means they're going to swap the places. Nothing that happened in that race looked like they were ever going to swap the places. But,
No.
like, I think it's just like Ferrari when they go free to fight, no risk. I think that's basically just what it is. But I don't think we got to see because it was like 2 seconds. It was like Oscar 2 seconds to Lando, 2 seconds to Charles. I look away.
Yeah.
I look back. It's Oscar 4 seconds to Lando, who's like this far in front of Charles. So I think Lando had an off or made a mistake and dropped back.
Yeah.
So I don't think we ever actually got to see what Papaya Rules was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I want to talk about this.
I feel like,
Yeah, go. Sorry.
I was going to say, I feel like the vibe that I got was, like you said, it was like free to race, no risk.
Yeah.
But again, like McLaren, have you just given up on winning the Drivers' Championship?
Especially
Can you
with-
just think that Lando's not going to get it? Because, sorry, yeah, okay, Oscar and his feelings, but like, you've got a driver that can win the Drivers' Championship. It is what it is. You like guilt tripped Lando into giving Oscar the place back in Hungary, saying, "Oh, you're gonna need Oscar."
Bro.
And then when there's actually potentially an opportunity to have that favor repaid and Oscar's got to give the place to Lando, like, you don't do... Probably, Papaya Rules, you weren't going to do it. Because, like, even at the end of the race, like, Oscar was
should have
P2 and Lando was
swapped that.
P3. They should have switched
They
them.
should have switched that.
Every single point counts.
Yeah. And especially with Max finishing so far down. So the thing is, with Max finishing where he finished, he gained 8 points. That's the same as he gained last week. It's the same as if he wins with the fastest lap over Max coming second. It's the same. So
Yeah.
you had the opportunity.
You're not chipping away enough.
No. Like,
Yeah.
you had the opportunity to gain more points, even if you just swapped P2 for P3 at the end. Like,
Yeah.
anyways.
And like Oscar, honestly, would Oscar have really cared between, like, I understand a bit more in Hungary of like, that was his first Grand Prix race win. Like, I
second and
get that a
third?
little bit more. But yeah, you're still on the podium.
And second and third in the name of Lando's championship, surely he would have copped that. And that's the thing. People are
Yeah.
getting stuck into Oscar. And I'm like, what do you
Yeah.
expect him to do if he's not been told not to? Like with the overtake
Totally.
at the beginning. Well, first of all, to start, I was stoked. Lando didn't lose it instantly off the start because that's what he's been doing. And then
Yeah.
there was nothing I was expecting less than Oscar Piastri just sending that overtake. I was like, I was like, what are you doing?
Totally.
But like, slay.
Well, that was
It's
the
a great
thing. And then
move.
their squabbling, yeah,
Let
but their
Charles
squabbling let Charles through.
Yeah,
And Charles won the race.
yeah.
Like,
Not from that, but
if
he did.
if Oscar had been given like team orders
He wouldn't have
of
done it.
like, you are a rear gunner, you just have to defend for Lando.
And that's what
like-
it should have been. That's what they should have done. That's what the...
Like, at the end of the day, sorry Oscar, it's just not your year. Lando, it's your year.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity.
Yeah. And like, you're going to need Oscar. Well, are you going to tell Oscar to help?
Yeah.
It's like,
Because he would.
yeah. Especially after what Lando moving aside for him in Hungary, which he didn't have to do.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, it's just so annoying. I'm like, why?
I know.
People are like, why didn't Oscar shouldn't have done that? Lando's world championship, blah, 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 blah. That's the team's thing. If the team had told
Yeah.
Oscar not to do it, he wouldn't have done it. If the team doesn't tell a racing driver not to race, what are they going to do? Race.
I know.
Try and win. Like,
I know.
it makes complete sense, and people are yelling at Oscar for it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
But that's the
think
thing. I think people are just getting, like, annoyed at McLaren now.
I'm so annoyed at
Because
McLaren.
it's just like, you're throwing away...
Valuable
drivers.
points.
And, like, I think it was like Matt and Tommy talking about this. They were like, at the end of the day, like, it's the Drivers' Championship that matters. Like,
Yeah.
they made the comparison of, like, in Abu Dhabi 2021, you didn't see Toto like running around cheering because they won the constructors.
Exactly.
Like
Such a good point. Such a good point.
Like
he was like, "No, Michael, no." Sorry.
He was chucking his headphones around
Yeah.
left, right, and center. It's the
Yeah.
drivers' championship that matters.
And McLaren, after every weekend, they put out this little video of like Andrea Stella and the two drivers like recapping the weekend, and all of the comments were like, Lando looks like he's been held hostage. Andrea Stella being like, great points for the team, and Lando's there like,
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. So, like,
and yeah,
to be slightly fair to McLaren, they're, aside from, like, them, you know, just not clearly being able to work out how to win this Drivers' Championship, in terms of their race strategy for Monza, it actually wasn't terrible. Like, them pitting Lando to overtake Charles would have worked if Charles didn't go for the one stop, which I don't think anyone predicted.
It did work until... No. And even Charles didn't predict it. Charles was pissed when Ferrari pulled him in to cover off the undercut and did it unsuccessfully. He was on the radio saying, if we'd already been undercut, then why did we come in?
Yeah.
Because obviously he was like, he wanted the tyre offset, stay out there a little bit longer and get him at the end.
Yeah.
So he was pissed when Ferrari brought him in to cover that off.
Yeah.
And Carlos called it on the radio. He was like, these guys are going to run out of tyres.
Yeah.
Let's stay out longer and get a tyre offset on them.
Yeah.
And that didn't end up working for him. It worked for Charles. But
Yes.
I think, like, Charles in the clean air, like, out in the front.
I think
What
Charles had
pissed me
no
off about
choice
the
too.
McLaren-
Charles was like, it was like, if you can get these tyres to the end, you win Monza, or you pit and you
Yeah.
may or may not end up on the podium. Like, I think he was just like,
Yeah.
full send. Like,
No, but he had to.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Oscar had to stay out.
yeah.
Why did they bring in Oscar from the lead for no fucking reason? Yes, they asked him on the radio, are your tyres going to last you the whole race? And he said, no. And they just said, all right, well, come on in right now. No. You have to wait and see what Ferrari's doing.
I know.
To a degree. Like, obviously, if it gets to the point where Ferrari's just staying out and staying out and staying out and staying out,
Yeah.
and your tyres are sliding you across the road, then you make the call and you come in.
Yeah.
But they were like, oh, the tyres aren't going to last
Yeah.
you. Well,
Come on in.
come right on in then. Just come in.
Have a
From
break.
the race lead. Give them, yeah. And then obviously, once we've handed Ferrari running 1-2 on the track, they're obviously going to be like, ooh, we have to try the one stop.
Yeah.
It's this or nothing. Obviously. Like, come on.
I know.
But, yeah, I mean, it was quite fun seeing them chase down the Ferraris and both get past Carlos. I felt bad for Carlos.
I know.
I kind of wish Carlos won.
Yeah, I wish he won because, like, it's his last one with Ferrari. But then I'm also
Yeah.
just like, Charles is like Ferrari's golden boy. So
I know.
I'm like,
But, like, obviously I wish McLaren won.
yeah.
But, like, yeah, them both overtaking Carlos, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
whatever. But,
Speaking of McLaren,
Tough Dave.
sorry. This is harder to do.
Yeah. I was going to move on.
No,
This
no.
is really hard to not interrupt each
I
other.
know. I was just going to make a quick point. Speaking of McLaren calling their drivers into the pits at a moment's notice.
Oh my God.
Lando, like, skirting on the brakes and then, like, hitting the bollard. Was
Yeah.
so funny.
They called him in so late. They literally.
That was like,
they were
that's like
oh,
me
box.
giving.
He was like skirting.
That's like me giving directions. I'm like, oh, we should have turned left back there.
Yeah. That's literally, he drifted into the pit lane. Didn't get a penalty for speeding though, so it worked.
No.
And obviously at that point, like, you don't need those tyres, burn them up.
Yeah,
But like,
but that was funny.
I
I was worried he was going to get a
I was just
penalty for
gonna
speeding
say-
in the pit lane. Like,
Me too.
Anyway, sorry.
But obviously that's why he did his burnout, so he wasn't speeding. Tough day to be Daniel Ricciardo.
oh, I know.
He was gonna do so. He was in such a good spot to get points for the day.
So, like, that first
That
penalty
guy.
really sucked, but then the like front dude that like grabbed the wing.
I felt for him. Oh my God.
I know.
And he knew it instantly too. He was like,
fuck.
Like jumped backwards and was like,
I know.
Oh, like that's just day done for Daniel Ricciardo, and like
yeah, and like not not his fault penalty. At all.
Not his fault. Yeah. Anyways, Max. This is another thing I kind of found really funny. Obviously, ever since Max got that 6-second pit stop, he was done. Like he was done for.
Yeah.
He wasn't. And Red Bull obviously committing very early to the 2-stopper, like by going hard. Like when Lando came back out behind Max is like, should I race him?
Yeah.
And he was like, yes. And like obviously it's in his best interests to do so.
Yeah.
And hold him up for as long as possible. But I was like, this is so annoying.
I was like, Evie's got to be panicking right now.
No, I didn't think he was going to do anything like stupid, because realistically that wasn't Max's fight like on the track, and he knew he wasn't going to like win the race. I kind of was like, I didn't think he was going to do anything stupid. It was just annoying. I was like, bro, you're getting in the way.
Yeah, I think it was very mature of Max, because there's part of me that's like, would the like Max of old have just taken him out? Because even if he didn't get any points and Lando didn't get any points, he'd keep holding his
no game.
Yeah, his race lead, his championship lead. Like,
I feel like Max of old may have done that.
Yeah, he's matured. Maybe
he has, and he's not just wiped him out for saying his catchphrase. Yeah. See, everyone, it's fine. But that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
but it was annoying, and it helped. Absolutely, it helped.
Yeah,
like. Obviously, part of it's on McLaren for not swapping them P2 and P3 at the end, but also like Lando finished like 2-3 seconds behind Oscar, so he could have actually just overtaken Oscar on his own if Max hadn't held him up.
Yeah,
but yeah, I thought both McLaren drivers drove really good races.
Yeah,
and they both were full send. They both were fully. Yeah, I think that they both drove really good races, and I just think that McLaren fucked them over.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Agreed. Well, yes, while you were, like, being, like, literally why, I was, like, on my feet. Like, I was, for the last 15 laps, and, like, I think it was, like, with 15 laps to go, I was like, is Charles going to do the one stop here? And then I was like, oh my God, he is. And then I was like...
He has to try, like...
Yeah, and like the reality of like, I'm about to watch him win Monza was like...
Yeah, it just hit you.
And I was so excited. And like, because it's Monza and it's just, everyone is a Ferrari fan there. I mean, all the massive, like, you know, flags and everything. Like, it's amazing. Cool and then just in the final few laps, like, you could hear the crowd. And
it was so loud.
Oh, it was so amazing. And then I think it was the F1 TV guy, so probably your commentator, that was like, that line that was like, the man from Monaco is the man for Monza. Like, so, like, oh, bless.
You love a commentary moment.
I do. I'm such a sap. But, like, oh, I love it.
I was literally like,
nah.
And the thing
I was like,
kind of annoying. Like, if it had been, like, fair and square, which it was fair and square, I'm not saying anything against Charles. He took his opportunity and he managed his tyres so well to get to the end of that race on the one stop. But, like, I would have loved to be happy to see Charles win in Monza, because it's such a good moment. You know? Yeah.
Well, in that case, who were your biggest winners? Or winner? I just assume there's multiple at this point.
Yes. Well, they go hand in hand. It's Ferrari and Charles.
Yeah.
Charles because he won the race. Ferrari because they were handed that golden opportunity by McLaren.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's very self-explanatory. And I feel like... Do you have any others?
I also just said Colapinto because P12 on your F1 debut.
Phenomenal.
Like
In a Williams.
In a Williams, which turned out to actually be quite good at Monza.
Yeah.
Like, solid effort. So
Yeah. Like Alex Albon was in the points.
Yeah.
And that's great. And yeah, Colapinto wasn't too far off. And to be fair to Logan Sargent, it's Monza. Williams did well, and their upgrades did look good last week as well. You just crashed.
Yeah.
So to be fair to him, maybe he also could have.
Yeah.
Gotten.
I think Baku will be like a much more of a test for Colapinto to see like how well.
I'm so excited for Baku. I've been excited for Baku all year. Like Baku just looks like fun.
Yeah. It's a vibe. It's
it looks
a good
like chaos.
circuit.
It looks like fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Biggest losers.
McLaren and Lando and Oscar.
Yeah.
All of them.
Which is so funny because
All
they
of
got
them.
P2 and P3. Like,
I know.
but yeah.
But it's like Oscar because he so could have won the race. Lando because he should have made bigger headway. His team should have been, you're going to need the team. Correct? You want to help me out now?
Yeah.
Or nah?
Yep. Agreed.
Anyway, we've talked a lot about it already. Do you have anything to add to that?
Not to McLaren being biggest loser. I do agree with that. Also Max, just because he didn't win. Although that's just becoming more and more frequent now. And Danny Rick.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely agree. Danny Rick did not have fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So those are my biggest losers.
But it wasn't his fault. I mean, we didn't even mention the fact that Yuki DNF'd like instantly.
I know, dude. The Houses and the RBs were really just
brawling,
squabbling. Like,
yeah.
I think because that was Danny Rick's initial penalty was contact with Nico, and then Nico like just absolutely side-oned Yuki.
Yeah. And then K-Mag was involved there somehow, otherwise he wouldn't have been banned.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Don't even know.
That was wild.
I know. So anyway, that was that. What was your biggest meme of the weekend?
I was struggling to find a meme.
I thought that too. There was not that many memes going round that I saw.
But there were a couple of funny things that I've seen after the race.
Yeah.
My first one kind of rolls on from the McLaren conversation is Nico Rosberg absolutely hounding Zach Brown on live TV. Have you seen this?
No.
It's so funny. He's doing like a post interview and they're like sitting down and he's like, so I said to you before the race that you should prioritize Lando and that's what you have to do. So what do you think about that now? And do you think that it's finally time to actually realize that for him to win the race, he's like just goes in on Zach Brown and is giving him like advice, but he's just like hounding him. And I'm like, yes, go. Someone needs to tell him.
Well, because he did that
funny.
with Andrea Stella as well after Hungary.
Yeah.
Like, and was like, you can't be just, letting your drivers do whatever. Like, you've got to... That's so funny. I love Nico Rosberg. When I turned the TV on and saw he was commentating this weekend, I was like, let's go.
I know. I didn't get his commentary, but, like, obviously I still got, like, the interviews and stuff. But, like, bro, it's like, what would Nico Rosberg possibly know about team driver rivalries and keeping things civil within a team? What would he know about that?
A lot.
I think you should probably listen to Nico Rosberg,
who
no longer has his childhood best friend because of that.
He's just so sassy. I love it. I'm here for it. I want him to commentate every weekend.
Me too. It's always chaotic when Nico Rosberg is on the mic, and I am so here for it. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't care to like be like, oh, I shouldn't say that. He's like, so why are you being stupid?
Yeah. He's like, here's what I have to say. Here's my thoughts. Unfiltered.
I love that. My other thing that I thought was really funny is Max in his interview in the media pen afterwards, and they're talking about, like looking forward and, it wasn't a great race, another blah, 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 the car, whatever. And he's like, just in classic Max Verstappen fashion, he's like, yep, gotta, work on this. work on that before we get to Baku. And he's like, yeah, before we get to Baku, we just got to basically change the whole car and then we'll be fine.
I did see that.
The exact quote, but he basically says, yeah, just change the entire car.
Bring back the
and then we'll
RB19,
be fine.
please.
Yeah. I have seen good memes about like RB18, RB19, and then RB20.
I know.
What was your meme?
I had a couple. So first of all, there was so many that went around after Antonelli put in the wall. And
oh my God.
Like one of my favorites was just like him in the wall and then like Toto's cutting to like Toto's face. He was just like like
yeah. But that's the response. That is such a valid
just ooh.
Yeah.
That was very
Grimacing.
funny. And like the fact that the sign said like ant and like the arrow.
Because he like
So funny.
ruined the rest of the market, the advertising.
Yeah.
So it just said ant. And shout out to the advertising for letting us know who's in the wall.
Yeah. It's so funny.
That's great. I saw that. That was good.
I know. And then the other one was, and this is a point I meant to talk about when we were talking about the race, was, and we sort of touched on it, but like how bad everyone's pit stops were. Like there were so many just shockers in there from the pit crews.
Yeah.
Not to mention Oscar nearly running over his, like, another one of his pit crews, like foot or something.
Yeah, standard.
Yeah, I know. Man's is like out for blood with his pit crew.
Yeah.
But I saw this.
I don't know. Maybe they're scared of it. Maybe that's why they won't do team orders. Like Oscar's going to kill someone.
Like he's gonna run us over in the pit lane.
Yeah.
But I saw like a meme of like with all these, you know, bad pit stops, just like bring in that like character from Cars, like Luigi, the guy that does the really fast pit stops.
He do be the goat though.
He do be. Bro, Red Bull needed
isn't
Luigi
it
this weekend.
Yeah. They really did. Isn't there a Ferrari mechanic who has him tattooed?
He does, but like in red.
Isn't it Guido? Wait.
Oh. Yeah, I think it is. It's Guido.
I think it's Guido.
Yeah. The little one that changes the tyres. You know who I'm referring to.
The little one. I can't remember his name.
Anyway,
That's
it's
really
been a while
embarrassing.
since I
Liam
watched
Lawson
it.
would be rolling in his grave.
I know.
Because Liam Lawson loves cars.
Yes. Anyway, so those are the memes that I found that I thought funny.
Yes.
What was your favourite moment of the weekend? I know that it was a rough one for you, but
Yeah, like none of them. But like,
Lance. Oh my God, Lando. Lando putting it on pole.
yeah, that was great. But that's lost its effect because of what happened in the race. I just put down like the scenes of Charles winning Monza.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't enjoying it as much, I can still recognize that that's such a great moment. And like, of course, Charles won in Monza this season. Like everyone having these crazy like fairy tale moments. Like, of course, he's won in Monza.
Yeah.
And like the podium with all of the like Tifosi, like the sea of red, the flags. Like, I can appreciate that as a moment.
Yeah.
And also, I just love how Charles, when he wins, his screech on the radio. Like, every time. It was the same as, like, in Monaco. Like, it cuts out the radio because he's just, like, screaming.
I know.
He's not even, like, saying anything. He's just like, like every time. I think that's really funny. And
I know. Because there's, like, so much built up, like, anger and sadness from all of the times Ferrari have screwed him over. So when he can win, it's just like a release.
Yeah, he had like flashbacks in the press conference when they were like, "Oh, so Mattia Binotto's here." He was like,
"That was so funny." He was like, "Oh no."
So for him to win with Mattia Binotto there is also really funny.
Yeah, he really broke that curse. But yeah,
he's like, "And what?"
But no, my favourite moment was also Charles on the podium and just like hearing him scream in Italian and hearing all the fans just like cheer him on and like sing the Italian anthem and like
the Italian anthem went off.
It went off. It was just like yeah, like you said, it totally has been a season of like fairy tale moments, which is cute.
Yeah.
Vibe. But
Except maybe for Max, but
yeah, he had
in
his
a
fairy
season of
tale last year, giving
For
other
real.
other drivers a
It's
time.
time.
Yeah,
It's time.
who was your driver of the day?
Well, obviously Charles managing those tyres
Yeah.
to the end. And I do think, I've already said I do think both McLaren drivers drove really, really well. Like, them making up their way back through the field, a lot of the passes that they did. Like, Oscar loves a pass into a corner that isn't normally... I don't know if this was on your broadcast, but in my commentary when Oscar passed Carlos, they were like... This corner, I can't remember what the corner name is, but they were like, oh, like, we don't normally see overtakes into this. Oh.
Yeah.
Like, he just
got
like,
it.
gone around. Yeah, he was like, oh, like, he's close behind, but, you know, we don't really normally see overtakes into this corner. Oh, he's done it. And he's done it. I was like, Oscar don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care where you normally see overtakes. Who's going to do it?
Yep. He played.
So I think they both drove really well. Also, quick shout out to Alex Albon.
Yes. Agreed. No, I agree with everything you said. I did vote for Charles during the race, and I'm sticking with that because he just, like, he saw his opportunity at the start, and then despite kind of getting a little bit messed up with that first pit stop, just drove phenomenally well to manage those tyres in, like, such high temperatures and, like, with the pressure of winning in Monza, you know, on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, did so well.
Totally. And, like, I seen, like, Oscar talking about it after the race, and they say, like, do you think you could have done a one-stop? And he's like, I didn't think anyone would be able to pull off. Like, I didn't think a one-stop was possible.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, obviously with hindsight, maybe we could have given it a go, but, like...
yeah.
Like,
but if my grandmother had wheels,
moment,
she would have been a bike.
For real. If my mum had balls, she would be my dad.
True. Oh, dear. But anyway, I realise we've skipped useless
Did you have a fun fact?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My fun
Did you have
fact is just obviously Charles and Ferrari related. And it is that now that Charles has won twice this year, he now has more race wins than poles this year, which for Charles Leclerc is just a real achievement.
He had pole in Spa, so he's had the same amount.
He's had one pole and 2 race wins.
He's had 2 poles.
Has he?
He had pole in Spa.
Why do I have balloons?
Oh my god.
That was bizarre. Really?
You're like, has he? Celebrate. Yeah. He had pole in Spa.
Okay, well, he's had...
After Max had his penalty. Equal. Sorry to ruin your
True.
start.
Well, the Spa one is kind of like...
He inherited.
He inherited pole.
But I think he started from pole position.
Yeah. All right, well, he's equal, which, based on his record,
Better than usual.
Significantly better than usual. So that's my useless stat.
Yeah,
What's your useless stat?
Valid. Yeah, sorry to ruin it for you. But I didn't want you to get yelled at by people.
No, that's fair.
Actually, like, okay. It's like, anyway, I'll tell you after. But just a comment we got that I thought was kind of funny. The top 6 in qualifying is like the closest top 6 in qualifying ever.
Really?
Which is kind of wild.
That is wild. And also because Max was P7. So he was like significantly...
He's not included in that.
Yeah. Wow. Like he was closer to the rest of the pack below than he was to the top 6.
To, McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes.
Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't put that together.
Yeah. I mean, it is a short circuit. It's like a short circuit, so you would expect it to be close.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's super close. So, we've got a week break, and then we're on to Baku. where, as we said,
Yes.
Ollie Behrman will be driving for Haas, which would be cool to see him do that.
Yes.
But Baku is a really cool circuit. It is.
I'm excited for Baku.
Yeah, it's a...
Is it in the same time zone as the Europe races?
No, well, it's like slightly different. Because I was looking up when the time is in Australia and it's like 9 p.m. start rather than 11 p.m. start. And I was like, oh my God.
That's so much better.
I'm not going to be needing 4 coffees to get through my Monday.
I was wondering because it's like further across, like...
Yeah. Across.
I was like, I think it's probably in a different time zone.
It is,
I'm picturing a map.
Fair.
Leave me alone. And that means qualifying will be at like 10 instead of midnight?
Yeah.
Oh.
So good.
That's beautiful. Because I'll be back.
You will!
I'll be back in Australia.
Oh my gosh, this is our last little online one for a bit.
For now.
But no, I'm so excited to see you again.
I know. It's going to be fun.
I know.
We should watch the race together maybe.
We should. That'd be cute. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I'll come over or you can come here. Either one.
Yeah.
Slay. Anyways, so it's a really cool
I realized
street.
I said that and I don't like leaving my house.
Yeah. I was like, I'll come to you, don't worry.
I don't like leaving my house. And I was
We'll do a little wine and cheese board. It'll be really cute.
Yes. But we have to make sure like not to talk too much about the race.
I know.
Because we need to save content. But
True.
like we can make eye contact, be like, and make a note.
True. But yeah, I'm very excited. I hope it's going to be a good race. Perez won in Baku last year. So he is known as like a street circuit kind of
Yeah, I know.
specialist. So
But bro also like qualified at the back of the grid and then crashed in the first lap in Monaco.
yeah, so
I'm yet to see it.
yeah. So we'll see if he can put it together for the next race. Obviously,
Baku.
very famously, Charles Leclerc put in the wall and gave us his iconic
I am stupid.
line. I feel like McLaren will do
Yes.
better in Baku as well, just because like clearly for Monza and its straight lines, they were just not thriving. But Baku's very different.
Ferrari's also good on a street circuit. Like Ferrari in Monaco and Ferrari winning in Monza and Ferrari's upgrades are kind of a little frightening to me for Baku.
I feel
And
like
Charles Leclerc saying,
like
oh, I love Baku.
yeah, I feel like
I was like,
Ferrari's upgrades were very specific to Monza.
yeah, probably. They were like, let's win this race.
Yeah,
And forget
and
about the
that's
rest.
it. But I guess we'll see.
So they
Look,
did in Monaco,
I would love them to
so-
do well in Baku as well. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I mean, it's been a while since I've been frightened of Ferrari, so there you go.
There you go. Anyway, I think that kind of
Anyways.
wraps it up. Do you have any?
I think so. And I think,
Any other thoughts?
no, I was just going to outro.
Say.
I was going to say that I think this episode is probably going to be a bit shorter than previously.
I know. I think we actually did well to kind of pack all that
I think
in.
we did good. I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're listening on Spotify and you did enjoy it, please do give us a 5-star review because we love you and that would be very helpful. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment with your thoughts. Obviously, there's a lot going on in F1 at the moment, so please tell us what you think. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Back in the same room again.
Yay.
Yay!
Bye.
All right, slay. Bye.